I'm very excited to be with you guys. I am not a naturopath, I'm not a practitioner. I had for many years about 30 years, worked in corporate roles in marketing and research. My background is actually medical research. I started in medical research when I left school. And after about 5 years, I moved into corporate land working for Master Foods or Mars. So Murray and I just mentioned in our last session that we used to work together. We've known each other about 25 years. And yeah, it's been a really interesting journey to move from a research background. So I understand a little bit about nutrition, and I worked in pet nutrition to start with, and then moved into human food and worked as marketing manager for a lot of the food brands within the Mars portfolio, so things like Dolmio, Cantong, that kind of stuff. And then when I was made redundant, as Murray was as well, from Mars, I went to Sara Lee for 9 years. So again, fast-moving consumer goods, learnt a lot about innovation and launching new products. And when my role there became redundant and when they were purchased by McCain Foods, I started my own business. I started my own business initially to work in the area of strategy and innovation. That was my passion, and really enjoyed doing that. I very quickly, though, got sucked back into the corporate land when one of my clients asked me to manage their small marketing business. And that's how I started to connect with Productivity Ninja. I had a team that were extremely stressed, extremely overworked, and very unhappy. And another friend of ours that worked at Mars, a guy called Matt Cowdroy, had actually discovered this guy, Graham Olcott, who wrote the book, How to Be a Productivity Ninja. Matt was also, with us at Mars. He then went to Sanitarium. He was in that corporate rat race as well. He was traveling a lot overseas. Discovered the book in an airport lounge one day, or one of those little shops in the airport, and discovered the program, tried it out for himself, loved it so much he bought the license for Australia and New Zealand. And whilst he was setting up his business and starting to get on the road of presenting workshops for productivity, Matt approached me and he came and presented a workshop for my team. And that's how I became connected with Ninja and how I became really passionate about helping others. And I'll tell you more of the story as we go by. But what I really wanted today for you guys is to give you lots of practical tools and tips and ideas around productivity, because I've heard for the last 2 days how difficult it is for you guys to be in practice and running a business. I get it, because I'm running 2.5 businesses at the moment myself. I manage 3 to 4 inboxes at any one time. And it can be so stressful and overwhelming. So I would really love for you guys to walk out of here feeling that when you get back to the office on Monday, tomorrow, if you're going back tomorrow, that you have some strategies in place, some action plans in place. I'm very action oriented, so I want to be able to give you guys things that are useful for you, okay? So my goal, my mission, is for you to walk out of here feeling like a productivity ninja, feeling that you have things under control, feeling that you have a way forward. So I'm going to do that hopefully within an hour. I'll try not to run over. At the end of the session, I am going to ask you guys to complete a little survey for me to give me some feedback on what it is you think has worked well, what you need more help with, but also it will give you access to the Productivity Ninja Academy. There's a free 3-month subscription there. And in there, I'm going to do my Oprah moment now, okay? I'll do it now because I was excited, is you can get an electronic version of the book for free. So you get a book, and you get a book, and you get a book. Everybody gets a book, okay? So that's really cool. So I'll give you guys access to the Academy at the end of the session. Okay, so today we're going to talk about these wonderful 9 little ninja characters. They are absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to split it down into 3 lots of 3. Our brains always work well in 3s, yeah? So we're going to do the first 3 ninjas. We're going to have a little chat about it in our table groups. I'll do the next 3 ninjas and then the next 3 ninjas. And each time I go through these, I'd love you to start working through, in your little book here, there is an action plan. So I apologise for those that don't have them. No, unfortunately not. They all got put in the show bag. So you will have one in your show bag, but maybe if you can share somebody's book as we go through, or you can just scribble a little action plan down for yourself on each of the ninjas. So in the booklet, each ninja is covered off in a little bit more detail on these pages, and there's a little section at the back which I'll refer to later as well. Also in there are a couple of offers for you guys. I would love next week, I'll talk about this more at the end, we're going to do a bit of co-creation at the end of this session. because it's just been so much fun to be here with you guys. So I'll talk about that later. Okay, so the first 3 ninjas I'm going to kick off with. So number 1, Zen-like calm. Everybody feel like this every day in their business? Yeah? This is probably the hardest ninja to actually get under your belt and really feel that you do well, especially when we often feel like this guy. Yeah? Does anybody identify with this? Yeah? So this is, you know, that buzz we get, that feeling of just complete overwhelm when there's so much going on. So the first little tip I'm going to give you to you guys, and this is writing down in your action plan, is to think about doing a brain dump. Yeah? Now, we think about brainstorming and all those positive things when we're trying to be creative, but when we get to a state of overwhelm, it's really important to do a brain dump. Get it all out on paper. Everything that's worrying you. Yeah? Now, this guy's got important stuff, not so important stuff. He's got urgent stuff, not so urgent stuff. He's got, you know, really big stuff like solving global warming on his mind. And he's got little stuff like picking up milk or calling his mum on Sunday. So once we've done that brain dump, once we've got it all out on paper, we can start to organise that thinking, and we can start to work through what do we actually have to work with, what can we leave till later, what is it that's just buzzing around in the head that once we get it out, we just go, that's it, I'm done. I could just put it to one side and not worry about that anymore, okay? So think about doing a brain dump. It's really important to get all this stuff out of our heads. The biggest problem with our productivity when we get to a state of overwhelm is that we can't focus on the things that we really need to do, yeah? The most important thing is a bit of a change in philosophy. In the olden days, we used to talk about time management, yeah? But we don't really manage time. Time just seems to fritter away and disappear for us, yeah? So what we talk about now in our modern philosophy of productivity is managing attention, okay? I'm going to keep coming back to this word attention again and again. Can you imagine having your focus in the right space when your head's like this? Yeah, it doesn't happen, okay? Our reptilian brain kicks in and our prefrontal cortex switches off, yeah? It's very hard to think clearly when we're in this state of absolute overwhelm. So think about doing a brain dump. A guy called Peter Drucker in the 1950s also coined a phrase that I'm going to use a lot in this presentation. He talked about separating our thinking into 2 places, or our work. There's worker mode. This is when we get stuff done. And there's boss thinking. And I'm going to talk a lot about boss thinking, okay? Boss thinking is when we do our really detailed analysis of all that stuff that we got out of our heads and we work out a plan of attack, yeah? I'm going to get you guys to do some boss thinking towards the end of the session. And our worker mode is when we get stuff done, when we know what it is we have to achieve, yeah? So we're going to really focus on that in this session. We're going to get you guys to a place of going through maybe some of the notes you've taken in the last few sessions, and we're going to think about which bits we need to focus on when we go back into the office next week, okay? Our goal is to get you to this place of serenity, yeah? Does it seem likely? Wait till we get to the end. You'll feel much better, okay? But that getting to this place is where we do our best work. When we've got ourselves into a state of control, when we can focus on the details of what it is we need to achieve, we can get to this place, okay? All right, so that's our first little ninja. Our second ninja is ruthlessness ninja, and I always have trouble saying that one. This is about being ruthless and saying no to ourselves and saying no to others, okay? In a number of ways. So one of the biggest areas that we need to be ruthless about is about procrastination. And I'm just going to let you watch this little video. Hopefully we've got some sound. No, we don't. Okay. This guy gets up in the morning and he cleans his teeth and he sits at his desk ready to do some work. But he spills his coffee. He says, oh dear, I better get up and clean up my coffee. So, while I'm here, I'll just clean the whole desk. And get myself ready because I really need to focus on my work. Oh, but I haven't had anything to eat, so I'll get some breakfast. But I don't really feel like cereal, so I'll go to the store and I'll go get some eggs and some other groceries while I'm there, because then once I've got all that done, I can then focus on the work that I have to do. Okay? And I'll get home and I'll make some scrambled eggs and I'll get my food sorted, and then I'll do the dishes because that needs to be out of the way. Otherwise, I won't be able to focus on getting my stuff done. And then I sit down and my wheel of my chair is squeaky, so I better go and get some oil from the hardware store to stop my chair from squeaking. Oh, look, and it's got really late now, so I better not, I can't really get my stuff done now, so I'll just sit down and watch some TV. And then tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll be all refreshed and I'll get my stuff done. Now that's a really bit of an over-the-top example, but you can see. No, not for some of you? Okay, all right. Now, procrastination is our biggest enemy to getting stuff done, yeah? It really is a problem. And I teach productivity workshops to students now as well. I have a Study Ninja program that we've just designed. And to help you identify why you're procrastinating is so important, okay? This little model is called the DUST model, so the acronym of DUST. Now, it can be that we procrastinate because things are difficult, yeah? It can be that it's just so damn hard, I don't know where to start. Think about this one. It can be that the issue is that the problem we're trying to solve or the work that we're trying to do is undefined. And for students, that can be they haven't got a full briefing from their tutor, for instance, and they need to go back and get some more definition. It can be that it's scary. If we're trying to tackle something new, like some of you guys, you're writing books, you're starting e-courses, you're creating new programs, sometimes that can be really overwhelming and scary, yeah? And then it can be just plain tedious, yeah? Think about why you're procrastinating, and then we can start to overcome it. And there can be simple little things that we do to overcome procrastination, things like telling someone else that you're procrastinating. And they may hold you accountable and say, did you get started on that thing you were about to do? And that might just kickstart you enough to get you going. But if you understand why you're procrastinating, it can help, yeah? Just think about that, getting that first foot one place in front of the other. And I'm going to give you lots of other tips on stopping procrastination as well. But just be aware that it is about being ruthless with ourselves and getting started, okay? The other thing about procrastination is that often it's because we're in a state of overwhelm because we're trying to do everything, yeah? Now, there's a scientific principle called the Pareto principle. Does anybody know it? The 80-20 rule. It was, I think, oh God, I can't remember the guy's name. The guy who did the pea research in genetics. 20% of your peas will give you 80% of your crop. It was sweet peas, yeah? It's a principle that plays out in business all the time. Usually 20% of your products give you 80% of your revenue. 20% of the things you do will give you 80% of your results, yeah? Picking the right things to do is so important, yeah? Trying to do everything, just lower your expectations a little. It's really hard. We can't do everything, yeah? But picking the right things is so important and being ruthless about that. That all makes sense? Cool. And also be ruthless with protecting your attention. It's just like this little egg. It's so easily damaged, yeah? Think about protecting your attention, and we're going to talk about this in the next Ninja a lot, because your attention is so valuable. Where you place your focus is going to determine the results that you are going to achieve, yeah? So, not our next Ninja, the next one after this. So Weapon Savvy Ninja, this is a really cool one. So, who uses Microsoft products like Word, PowerPoint, Excel? All right, pretty much all of us. Do you all know how to use PowerPoint really, really well? No, okay. Do you know somebody that does? Okay, get Weapon Savvy. Go find out from them how to use it, okay? I don't like the spreadsheets, the Excel stuff, yeah? But I do know some people that love it, so I'll go and ask them about that. I presented to a group of 120 executive assistants just recently, and they were talking about how to use Outlook calendars really, really well. And one of them shared a tip that literally, I'm not kidding, they looked like they were going to just pee their pants. They were so excited. They were just all over the place because one of these EAs knew that if you were able, it was something really simple like copying and pasting a calendar booking without having to recreate it every time. And these guys do this, like it can take hours of their day. And they were so excited. So sharing ideas amongst your group, yeah, collaboration, Teaching each other those skills of basic stuff can really save you lots of time. So being really weapon savvy, make sure you know the best and really invest the time in this as well. So it may seem, I don't have time to learn Excel, I don't have time to learn PowerPoint, but if you get some basics under your belt, it will save you a lot of time in the long run, yeah? So think about using your diaries, your calendar. I'm going to talk about a second brain. Now, every good ninja has a second brain. Who likes to write in a diary? Who has a physical diary? Yep. And who likes to have things like Outlook or Google? Do you use that as your calendar and your to-do lists and things? Yeah, there's a mixture. Now, being weapon savvy, it doesn't mean you have to be one or the other. Okay, I use a paper diary. I love my diary. I use a lot of Kiki K products. Does anybody know Kiki K? Yeah, weekly planners, that kind of stuff. I love them. They help me to get organised. In some businesses, oh, you have one right there. Beautiful. Some people love to use apps or systematization in things like Google or things like Outlook. You can do to-do lists, that kind of stuff electronically. You can use lots of apps. It's great to use those things, but don't be overwhelmed by the fact that there are lots of things out there, yeah? Choose one thing. See if it works for you. If it works, great. Just keep using it, yeah? But having a second brain is so important. Once you have a second brain and you're working with it and you're using it regularly, you can start to set and forget stuff. Now, I see obviously a range of ages in the room, but most of us would remember a time before smartphones when we used to store all the phone numbers in our heads. Yeah? Do we do that anymore? No. I can't even remember my kids' phone numbers, which is really bad. Okay? But we rely on our phones, yeah? That's what your second brain can do for you. It can take away a lot of that clutter by using a second brain, storing things like your diary appointments, your calendars. Now, you guys are all in practice. You have a calendar system. You have a booking system. Help create that for yourself in your business environment as well so that you have lots of things that help you to not have to stress about what comes next. Yeah? And we're going to talk about some daily planning in a minute because that will really help you then to reconnect with your second brain and learn to trust it. The more you use your second brain, the more you will trust it, the easier it becomes. Okay? This is an example of my 17-year-old, was just about to finish year 11 last October. Completely overwhelmed, had that brain thing going on. I don't know what to do next. I've got all these assignments coming up and I'm just completely lost. This is part of building your second brain. So Fee was doing 7 subjects. I said, right, do me a brain dump, write things down. Did 7 things. Lo and behold, they were 7 subjects, yeah? So extension English. Okay, tell me about extension English. What is it you're worried about? I have an assignment coming up. I've lost my marking sheet. I don't know when it's due. I don't know where the marks are going to be allocated. Okay. The first thing to do is to go to the teacher and to get that again, to find out when it's due, to get some help and support, okay? So there's a difference here when we start to write lists, when we start to build our second brain, there's a need for us to start to compartmentalize that information. So that guy at the front, the brain dump, we start to organize. We start to create a project list or an action list, yeah? So a project list could be lots of things like, I'm going to create an e-course, I'm going to create a presentation that I'm going to present at a conference. Yeah, we can have lots of projects, but our actions, our next master action list is a list that says, okay, out of all those projects, these are the things I need to actually do next that get me started. So you remember the procrastination thing? If you have an action list, it helps you to take that next step. You don't have to map the whole e-course right now, but if the next step is I need to pick up the phone and talk to somebody about helping me with the e-course, then that's on my action list, yeah? So they're the types of things that you can work with and write into your second brain to help you keep momentum up, to help you step forward and make progress every day. Does that make sense? Awesome. This is an old-fashioned inbox. Who loves their inbox? I didn't think I'd get any hands on that one. How many of you know how many emails you have in your inbox at the moment? Okay, does anybody want to share how many they have? 50,000, awesome. You get a prize just for having the most. 700, yep. 17,000, yep. Okay. You're a ninja, so you've got yours under control. Awesome. Yes. So the issue with inboxes, the issue with emails is that we associate meaning to all of those emails. And once we get past a page in length, they start to roll down the page and we start to get really worried about what we've missed, yeah? We start to get worried about what didn't I follow up with, who's waiting on stuff from me, and it becomes a real drain on our energy and it takes our attention away, yeah? So in the book, please download it. Chapter 4 of the book is this little book. So this is actually chapter 4 in here. And it is a process for getting your inbox to 0. You don't have to delete all your emails. Don't panic, okay? That is one way of doing it, but we don't recommend it, okay? But it is a way of getting your inbox under control. I don't have time today to take you through the whole process, but it is a way of saying, you are not my work, yeah? A lot of people in business these days think that their email inbox is their to-do list, and that any emails that come in there are the things that I need to focus on. Now, for most of us, that's not what we're paid to do. Yeah, I've had very interesting conversations with people that come in and say to me, oh, but I really need to, be very clear on my emails and how I write them, and I need to spend time thinking about the content. And it's like, well, are you KPI'd on emails? Is that the only form of communication that you have with your teams? No, it's not. So please don't put too much emphasis on emails, yeah? The other thing to do, does anybody have alerts on their computer for their emails when they come in? Okay, turn them off. You know the emails are coming in. They do every day. They do every hour. Yeah? The alerts, all the alerts do is take your attention off what you're doing. Yeah? Any alerts. I was working with a guy who's a CEO of a business. He had 30,000 in his inbox, would never delete a single email. He responded to every email within an hour of its arrival. That was his goal. And when he didn't achieve that, he felt he'd failed. But he was in a very senior position where he felt he had to service his clients extremely well via email, yeah? Now, he's been gradually weaned off of that through our Inbox to 0 program, but he had alerts on his computer, he had alerts on his mobile phone, and it was just like watching Pavlov's dog, yeah? Bing, 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 bing. Little alerts would be going off left, right, and centre, and he'd be just, oh, there's an email. Yes, but are you paid to do emails? No, that's not your role, yeah? So turn off those alerts. You know they're there. Set yourself time to process your emails on a regular basis. That can be first thing in the morning, but I'm going to tell you when to do that. It can be maybe just before lunch, it can be after lunch, it can be the end of the day, yeah? But don't check your emails all the time. Checking emails just gets you more stressed and gets you more worried about all the things that you haven't done yet, okay? And you'll notice the difference in word. We process emails. There is always something you can do with emails, yeah? So, if an email comes into your inbox, if you read it and you can do something with it within the first 2 minutes, then do it. Yep, then it's gone. You either file it, delete it, or do something else with it, okay? If you can't do it within 2 minutes, then put it into what we call our @action folder. I don't have a whiteboard, unfortunately, but we create 3 folders in our inbox. The first one is an @action folder. The @action folder is part of your to-do list. It's the things that you need to follow up on, okay? The next one is the @reading folder. And this is often the stuff that we go, oh, I need to read that later. Don't have time to read it now, and we'll put it into that box, yeah? And at the end of the week, we might review them and go, I didn't read those. I think I'll just throw those away now, yeah? Or it might be stuff that we do need to go back to and read. The third one is the @waiting folder. And the @waiting folder is where you put things that you have actioned and somebody else, you are waiting on them to do their action, okay? Because that way, in your mind, it's off your to-do list. It's in someone else's camp, okay? And it's really liberating to be able to do that, okay? All the rest of your filing, there's a really interesting function on most email platforms now called archive. You don't need to create lots of subfolders and create lots of complexity for yourself in your emails. You just archive those things. Because the search functionality in some of these email platforms now is phenomenal. You will always find the things that you need, yeah? There are a few exceptions to that. Things like, I know for myself, I have a tax folder because I know that I'm going to need to group all those things together for my tax at the end of the year to talk to the tax man with, yeah? So that's just a very basic inbox kind of structure, please feel free to read the chapter. There's lots more in there. So that's our first 3 ninjas. Hopefully you've scribbled down a few notes on tips and tools and ideas of things that you can try when you get back to the office. I'm going to give you guys literally, let me think, how much time do we have? Oh goodness, we're running very short on time. 2 minutes, if that's okay, for you guys just to have a very quick chat about which of those ideas might be useful for you to try when you get back, okay? Okay guys, I'm going to call it back to the room just because I know we're going to be short on time. Just have a think about what you've discussed in the groups, and at the end of the last session, I'm not going to get you to share back now, but at the end of the last session I'm going to give you guys some opportunities to win some books, and I'm going to ask people to share back their top 3, so remember that. Okay, our next little ninja, if you remember me talking about worker mode and boss thinking, it's really important that when we want to go into those zones and really think about what it is we need to do or actually get the work done, that we're able to, what we call, go dark. Yeah? So stealth and camouflage ninja is a really cool little guy. It's about this. It's about hiding. Okay? Now, for a lot of us, I don't know whether you guys work in open plan offices. Do any of you have space that you can go? And I guess because most of you are clinicians, would you have your own rooms where you can work? So this probably doesn't apply to you guys quite so much. In big business, often open plan means, you know, you have nowhere to go that's quiet, yeah? So make sure when you're thinking about getting work done that you create a zone or a space for yourself, bless you, that is where you can go dark. Now, often that might be that you feel, if you're, say you're in your own practice, that might be a great space for you to get stuff done. But it may also be that if you're in a zone of working on patient stuff, that's not the best space for you to then go and work on your business because you feel kind of overwhelmed by that stuff. So find a space that works for you. It could be maybe at home, it could be at a cafe, it could be some other quiet space that you can find. Does anybody struggle with getting somewhere quiet that they can get stuff done? Yeah? It's difficult for you to do that? Cafe? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Think about also things like libraries or shared spaces, workspaces. See if somebody else has a quiet spot. Yeah, coffee shops are often really good. So think about creating that zone. Think also, though, about going dark digitally. So I mentioned about alerts on your phone, but think about, you know when you're on flight mode, when you're on a plane, and how much reading you can get done or how much fun stuff you can do, or you can get work stuff done, yeah? Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Put your computer on Do Not Disturb. If you're using Outlook, at the very top there, I think this is a little pointer, work offline, yeah? Now, you can still write emails, but it stops emails coming in and interrupting you, yeah? Just remember, when you turn it back on, all those emails will then come in and all the emails you've written will go out, okay? It's just like a flight mode on your computer. Think about doing those things. The other big thing I love teaching people, and this works so well, is a little thing called the Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. Do you remember those little tomato timers you used to have in your kitchen? So the Pomodoro technique works on this principle: 25-minute sprint and a 5-minute break. 25-minute sprint and a 5-minute break. No more than 4 sprints in one go. Okay, this is when we really want to get focused work done. I was working with a guy that his job is to write reports. Well, he goes in and assesses businesses to see what they need, and then he has to write a report about it, and he hates the report writing. But he started doing the Pomodoro technique, and he found that he halved his report writing time because he focused for 25 minutes. Then he had a little break and get up and stretch and move around, get a glass of water. But then every time you focus, you will get that job done so much quicker. Yeah? So really think about doing the Pomodoro technique. This little app at the bottom here is a really fun one. It's a free app. You can get paid versions on most of these things, but the free ones are just as good. This little app, every time you complete a 25-minute sprint without touching your phone, and that's picking up calls or other stuff, you plant a tree. So by the end of the day, if you've done lots of sprints, you've got lots of stuff done, you can have a little forest going, yeah? But the problem is, if you do pick up your phone, you lose all your trees, okay? It's really sad. I've had some teams actually adopt this. They loved it so much that they've adopted a little bit of a competition to see who can plant the most trees. So it's really cool. It's a way to really get you to focus in on what you need to be doing, yeah? And keeping your attention right there. Another little one I've been playing with recently that really helps me is to make sure that on my desk, I only have the thing that I'm working on. It's a bit of a Marie Kondo almost, is just clear away everything else, because otherwise you can be sitting there working on one thing, but that thing's catching your eye out of the corner and you've got lots of other stuff that's interrupting you. Yeah? So think about doing that, giving yourself the space. What we're trying to create is this attention bubble. Yeah? This is where we get our best work done. Yeah? It gives us that zone of complete focus. Yeah? For most businesses, now I don't know, how many of you work with more than one of you in a practice? Are you all kind of individual? Okay. Sometimes it's really hard to focus when you've got other people in your workspace, yeah? We do a little thing called the power hour for teams, and this is when I mentioned about I was working in this business where Matt came in and presented to our team. We had a young lady that, bless her, she was lovely. She was great with customers, but she talked constantly, all day. Just what was in her head came out of her mouth. She just talked constantly. And it made it really hard for anybody else to get work done. Yeah? And when we presented the idea, Matt presented the idea of, okay, we're going to do a power hour. So once a week, on a Thursday, say from 10 till 11, we're going to agree not to interrupt each other. We're not going to answer phones unless it's a customer. We're going to just focus on getting stuff done. And she freaked. She was like, but what if I have to ask a question? I was like, can it wait an hour? Oh, I guess so. And she was really, honestly, really freaked out about it. But once she had actually tried it, she realised how much she got done too, and she became a really big advocate for the power hour. Okay? So think about that context. If you can't all go dark at the same time, if you can't do a power hour as a group, you can do stuff like we've had some organisations where they'll just literally write on the piece of paper, I'm in my power hour, I'll be free at 11, and just put it on the back of your chair. Yeah? Stuff like that that helps others to know that you need some quiet time. You need to focus and get stuff done. Yeah? Even do it to your kids, if your kids are interrupting you. Yeah? I just need half an hour, I'll be back free after that movie finishes. That sort of stuff. Okay? It's really important to get that space to get your attention really focused. Okay, unorthodoxy ninja. I'm going to go a bit faster through the next couple because there's a couple coming up that are juicy. Unorthodoxy ninja is about doing things differently. Now, you guys should be really good at this because I've seen how much you've embraced everything that you're hearing over the last couple of days. It's about experimenting with things. So some of the stuff that I'm presenting today you might love the idea of and you want to give it a go. Some of it might be a bit challenging. The idea of creating, your inbox in the way that I've just mentioned might be a bit scary. But have a go. I'd really encourage you to try new things. Try things in a way that is just going to, even if you try it for a day or a couple of days or even a week, and see if it makes a difference to your productivity. If it doesn't, try something else. Yeah? But just keep looking for new ways to do things that are going to help you with your productivity. And have fun. Yeah, this is a really big one. Do any of you guys have fun? I know we've had great fun together here for the last couple of days, but do you guys usually network with each other and have some fun around your industry? Yeah, some yeses, some nos, yeah. In big business, this sometimes gets really interesting. I presented to a group of 120 lawyers in Canberra, and I was really nervous about going and speaking to these guys. I was thinking, you know, these guys must be super productive and they're really on the money. And we got to this part, and I asked them, well, what do you guys do for fun? And you could have heard a pin drop in the room. It was quite interesting. They looked at me. It was very funny because the whole sort of session, they sat there and they diligently took loads of notes, as you might expect lawyers to do. But every time I tried to get some interaction from them, they just sat. And after the presentation, because I was floored by this, I gave them some ideas of things you could do to have fun together as a team that kind of just breaks the mood a bit and gets you kind of having a bit of a light moment before you get back into the heavy work. I gave them some ideas. One of them was to actually have an Instagram competition every week, which was, you know, post up a theme at the beginning of the week. Everybody can take a photo and they get to enter it into the competition. When I spoke to their EA at the end of the session, she said that having fun with them thing, she said, I've tried everything. She said, we used to do Friday afternoon cake and we'd try and get them to come down and spend time together. She said, we used to catch them sneaking down the back stairs, grabbing cake and going back to their desks because they're such introverts. They just didn't like spending time together. But the Instagram competition, they loved it and they started doing it. And then they would come together because they wanted to see if they won because they're very competitive. Yeah? So you need to find the right things that work for you and your team, but please have some fun together because you'll find that those little down moments when you have a bit of fun means that when you go back to your desk, you're much more productive. Yeah? You've got the energy to go forward again. Okay, agility ninja. Now, this is a really important one. We know you're going to fight fires. You're not always going to be able to be right in your zone and getting stuff done. But an agile ninja gets back on track as quickly as possible. Yeah? If you're really focused, you have good priorities, your second brain is working well for you, then it's much easier to get back in the zone. Yeah? You have to be really clear, though, that it's important to focus on what's happening around you because you can get focused on sweeping up the leaves when the hurricane's coming. You know, there is no point in that. So think about having this agile approach, flexibility around what it is you're doing and how things are going for you. Who multitasks? Okay, who thinks they do multitasking well? That's a leading question. The research is showing that if we try to multitask, it usually takes twice as long and we make 4 times as many mistakes. Okay? The new philosophy is around sequential monotasking. Okay? And this is where that Pomodoro technique works really well. We do one thing, we finish it. We do the next thing, we finish it. Yeah? Now, there are some exceptions. Mums, we know that we often multitask with the kids. You know, we can do things like go for a walk while we're reading or we're listening to an audible book or something like that, yeah? We can do some things we can multitask quite well with. But generally, when we're trying to get really important stuff done, don't multitask, yeah? Really focus on one thing first. Really important. And this is a little frog. Has anybody heard of the book Eat That Frog? Yes, it's an awesome one. I think it was Mark Twain said, if the biggest thing that you had to do in the day was to eat a really big ugly frog, isn't it better to get it done first? Yeah? And it comes back to our procrastination issue as well. So when we have a list of things to do, if we always leave the hard stuff till last, we're not going to get to it. Yeah? So try tackling some of those things early on in the day when you've got the right energy for it to make sure that you get it started or finished. Okay, that's the next 3. Have a quick 2 minutes and I'm going to get on to my last 3 ninjas. Okay, guys, I'm sorry to pull it back so quickly, but I still have loads I want to tell you about. Okay, if I keep going? Awesome. Okay. Mindfulness. Now, this one, you guys all know this stuff, yeah? You all do the meditation and the yoga and all the good stuff. In ninja terms, we are talking about being very mindful, and so obviously the benefits of things like meditation are really well known. But from a ninja perspective, we're talking more broadly than just mindfulness. Now, I want to just give you a bit of a pause, and I'll tell you a little bit more of my story here, and why this is so important to me and why I'm so passionate about sharing productivity with you guys. So I told you a little bit about my background. When I was at Sara Lee, I was working very long hours. I had 2 young children, had a husband that had mental health issues. I then found out that he hadn't been going to work when he was supposed to be because of his mental health issues. He quit his job and then decided he wanted to start a cafe. At the same time that he went and bought a cafe, I found out that I had brain tumour. So I can imagine that was a bit of a shock, the universe saying to me, you've got to do something differently. I went through surgery. I was very lucky. It was a benign tumour. Surgery was tricky. It was between the 2 hemispheres, so it was a nasty kind of place, but it was a meningioma. It was operable. So went through my surgery. 6 weeks later, I'm back at work. In the meantime, the cafe's going under. I'm working at the cafe on the weekends, even when I'm still getting better. And yeah, things pretty much fell apart after that. So my marriage ended. I continued to go, right, got to get back to work, keep everything going, keep the kids going, just life goes on. So that was a big shock. When I left Sara Lee and started my own business, life was really good. I really loved what I was doing at that point. And then I got sucked back in, as I mentioned, to work for this small marketing company as their general manager. That was probably, interestingly enough, even though I'd spent 30 years in corporate land, in very high profile, very high pressure roles, very long hours, that kind of stuff, the small marketing company was the most stressful role I'd ever been in. And I really wasn't taking good care of myself. I was really just relying on, the last little bit of energy I had just to keep going, to keep everything moving forward. At this point, we'd lost our house. We had my ex-husband's cafe business had been secured against the house. I didn't know that at the time. And when he defaulted on his loan, the house had to go. So it was a really tough time, but we got through. We managed by hook or by crook to get through. And then about almost 2 years ago, working in this stressful business, the universe threw me another sign that I needed to change things, and I found out I had uterine cancer. So I then went through surgery. At that time, I had been just about to quit. I was at that point of, I don't want to do this anymore. And I couldn't quit. I needed my sick leave to get me through surgery and just have a little bit of income coming in. But by the time I got back from sick leave from the surgery, before I started radiation therapy, my role had pretty much been dismantled by the owners of the business. And the writing was on the wall for me there that it was just not a good place for me to be. So I spoke to a friend and said, if I need any money, can I borrow some money? Yep, no worries, we'll support you. And I ended up leaving that business before I started radiation therapy. That was my really big wake-up call from the universe, where I knew I had to do something differently. I'd ignored all these other signs. I'd ignored it for so long. And I realised this time I wasn't lucky. It wasn't benign. It wasn't just a little tumour. This was, really pretty serious stuff. And I needed to do things differently. And this is where mindfulness came in for me, because I used to ignore all the signs in my body. And I'm interested because you guys are naturopaths. You talk to people about stress, you talk to people about adrenal fatigue, and you talk to them about all the things that they may be suffering in their lives. But do you guys know what stress feels like for you? You do. Good. Do you pay attention to those signals? Good, I see some nods. I don't see everybody nodding though. Okay? I know what stress was for me, yeah? Shoulders up, shallow breathing, stomach wasn't working. My immune system was shot, yeah? I had no immune system, I don't think, by the time I got to this stage. Yeah? But we don't often pay attention to what's happening to ourselves when we get to this state of complete overwhelm and stress. So really, guys, really, you must pay attention to what's happening to you, because you can't afford to get to that place of burnout again. Yeah? And for all of you, you don't want to get to the place I got to where you're so sick. Yeah? I already had a couple of the presenters steal some of my analogies, which I used to get to the end of the day and hadn't had time to pee. Yeah? That was one that I used to think about a lot. Yeah? They were saying it yesterday. Yeah? We can't do that to our bodies. We have to do better. Yeah? And the other thing I'm really passionate about is to make sure that we're all doing the things we love. Now, you've heard mention I scuba dive. I scuba dive as much as possible because that's my Zen zone. That's where I go to just forget everything and just be in the moment, and I love it so much. But what do you guys do? Do you spend time doing things you love every week? Okay? I can ask, usually, I hope there's more of you here, but when we do that brain dump exercise, in one of our workshops we do a whole day and we do the brain dump and we set up our second brains. I can ask a room of 100 people of their lists, did they have anything positive on their list? And often there'll be 1 or 2 people that have something good and positive to look forward to on their list. Yeah? So make sure, guys, every week I want to see you guys planning and having something on your list that you love to do, something that you're passionate about, something that's fun. Even if it's just going out, for a glass of wine with the girlfriends or taking the kids to the park, getting out in nature. But have something to look forward to. If we don't, why are we doing this? Yeah? We really do need to always be thinking about having that balance. The only alerts I have on my phone, I have an alert that comes up at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and it just says mindfulness check-in. And it just gets me to think about, where am I at right now? What's my body doing? Am I feeling good? Am I breathing? Am I shallow breathing? Am I stressed? Am I enjoying what I'm doing? Yeah? Just think about those things, guys. It's so important for you to keep a balance. So you're helping everybody else, but what are you doing for you? Yeah? Do any of you journal? Yeah? It's a really great way of keeping connected to what's happening for yourself. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, I want to do a bit of co-creation, as I mentioned. We usually recommend everybody as a weekly review. And this is a part of your weekly review that's really valuable to do. So thinking about what worked well in your week, what didn't work so well from a productivity point of view, where were your blocks? Where were the things that didn't happen that you'd hoped for? And how can you make sure that that doesn't happen next week? So think about using your journaling to help you with your productivity and your prioritization and the things that you want to achieve. And think about this too, guys. We often get so into the moment of where we're at and what we're doing, we forget how close we are to achieving amazing things. Yeah? Think about the bigger picture, the goals, the things that you're yearning to achieve, how far away you might be from those, because you could be so close to completing them. Yeah? Okay, this is my favourite ninja, Preparedness Ninja, and I'm going to just spend a little bit of time on this one. I'm hoping I've still got a bit of time. Oh, it's so hard to do it in an hour. Preparedness Ninja is all about being super organised, and I stood up in Murray's presentation next door when he asked about, do I have my day planned? Absolutely, even if my plan is to do nothing, I have my day planned. This is mise en place. This is what chefs do every day. Yeah? Before service, they get all their ingredients ready, they get all their equipment ready, so that the first customer that walks through that door, they're ready to go. Yeah? This is what we want to be doing in our businesses every day to get ready. Okay? In your book, 1 page from the back, there is a little daily checklist which looks just like this. Okay? So it's just 1 page from the back. So anyone that doesn't have this in front of them, I'd really recommend that you do get this. You can just stand it in front of on your desk, yeah? And I'm just going to talk you through this in a little bit of detail. So the idea is you get a little sticky note, so the little square ones, and you stick it on your book every day. And we go through the checklist. So the first thing, so boss thinking, this is when we're going to do 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of the day. We're going to do our boss thinking, and it will help us to create that Zen-like calm. So we look at any carryovers from yesterday. Was there anything we didn't achieve yesterday we need to do today? We check our second brain for the things that we do need to focus on in the day. And we choose our top 5 priorities. Now, you can write small and get more than 5 on there, but you may not achieve them all. So pick 5. Pick 5 things that if you got to the end of the day and you did those 5, you would feel great. Yeah? And then plan, when are you going to go dark to get those 5 things done? Yeah, and put them in your diary, block out time. Make sure you've got all that level of detail down in your planning. Check your calendar for the next 2 days ahead and add any actions if you have to get ready for stuff in the next couple of days. Yep. Then think about what you're resisting or what do you need help with. And then you can make some plans to get onto that and get some help for those things during the day. Also think about how you're feeling today. So we talked about the frog and eating the big frog, big fat ugly frog. Think about tackling those things when you've got loads of energy and you're feeling really good. Don't tackle those things if you're not feeling great. Yeah? Prioritize what you're doing according to your energy levels, really important. And then the last thing you do is process your inbox, yeah, your emails. It's at the bottom for a reason, yeah? Because usually those priorities that have come into your inbox are not your priorities, they're someone else's. Yeah? There might be something urgent that's come up that needs to go on your list, but most of the time your top 5 priorities are the things you should be focusing on in the day. Okay? So doing that boss thinking, start of every day, really helps you to know where you're going. Yeah? And then going into worker mode and going dark to get it done means you've separated that thinking out and you've got a plan of attack for the day. Okay? Does anybody do anything like this already? Yeah? Maybe with some lists and priorities and stuff? Awesome. I would really encourage you guys, do this every day. It becomes a bit of a ritual and it helps you to get really, really productive. The other thing to do you might find is that at the end of the day, you might find that you'll do this for the day ahead, for the next day. Yeah? You'll just get so super good at it, it'll be done ready for the next morning. You just come in and you fly. Okay? Resting is investing, corny but true. It's part of being prepared, yeah? Making sure that we rest, that we have time out is really, really important. I'm going to keep talking real quick now. Our last ninja, human, not superhero. Even Superman puts his red undies in the whitewash sometimes. I've got 5 minutes, guys, so I'm going to go flying. It's really important to think about. We don't want you guys to get to this burnout phase, yeah? Dr. Rick Hansen, who was a neurophysiologist, he studied the brain and he found that often we can get really overwhelmed by the negative, yeah? There's a negative bias in our brains. So when things go wrong, we tend to focus on the negative things and it sticks like Velcro to our brain, yeah? The negative stuff. But the good stuff, often the stuff that we love and the things that we've achieved and the great successes we've had, it slips off like Teflon. So somebody says, oh, that was such a great presentation you did, and we just go, oh, great, thanks, fine, and we move on, yeah? But the bad stuff will stick with us for a lot longer. So we have to retrain our brains and think about the positives. You guys know about endorphins and serotonin and dopamine and all those lovely responses. When you have a tick list, when you have priorities and you tick them off, you get a dopamine hit in your brain every time you do it, yeah? We want lots of those. The more you get, the more addictive it becomes, the more you achieve, yeah? So get your lists written, do your priorities, and tick them off, yeah? Celebrate those successes because it makes us feel more productive, and we usually are, okay? And don't forget to have lunch, to have water, to go outside and get some sunshine. Who skips lunch? Yeah, not good for us. Not so many hands as I normally see, so that's really good. Really prioritize those things because you will be more productive when you're doing those things for yourself. Okay, I'm going to skip the planning on the last bit. We're almost at the end, so we've done our 9 ninjas, okay? And hopefully in all of those little boxes, you've got some ideas of things that you're going to try. And I would love I've got 4 books to give away. I'm going to ask for the hands up to say who would like to tell me their top 3, of things that they're going to try to win a book. Okay, first hand was up over here. Please shout out. Oh, we need a microphone. It's coming. Yes.
I thought it was on behind me.
So Leanne, your top 3, what would you like to try?
I'm doing the action list.
Perfect.
Every day. I'm going dark.
You're going dark.
Because it sounds cool. I'm going dark digitally because I work by myself anyway.
Fantastic.
So I want to do the digital thing, and I'm going to eat the frog.
Going to eat the frog, yes.
Yeah.
Awesome, well done. Thank you, Leanne, I'll take that. Awesome. Who else would, I've got a hand whizzing over here, and I'll come back to you.
I'm going to start saying no to taking
Wonderful.
on more work because I get things done quickly and then I get given more.
Yep.
Don't check emails all the time.
Fantastic.
I'm going to go dark and I'm going to forward my phone, turn off emails and just aeroplane mode.
Wonderful. Very good.
And the other thing is add to the diary each week something to look forward to.
Brilliant. Yeah. Everybody needs to do that. Thank you so much. And your hand is up.
I'm going to do emails to 0.
And you're going to get the book. Awesome.
Thank you. My other thing was to just work on one thing rather than have like 4 client folders open.
Yep.
At the same time. And eat the frog.
Eat the frog. Sure. Brilliant. Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much. I have one more book. Oh, yellow lady in the beautiful yellow dress, yellow and pink.
Thank you. I'm going to do the sprints with the Forest app. So,
Wonderful.
yeah, I like the idea of knowing that I have to focus and concentrate for that 25 minutes and then I get a little bit of a break and the Forest app can help keep me accountable and make it a bit fun. The inbox, because I think I've got like 1,000 or 2,000 or something. And those folders make it really simple because I know that I need to get my inbox down to 0. But I've been overthinking the whole folder thing, how to sort it out, so that's cool. Also the daily checklist, because I find that I only work 2 days a week, but the days that I am working, I'm like, okay, great, this is it. Oh, but what am I going to do? Like, because I haven't prepared, so yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Awesome. Okay, we are nearly at the end. So, are there any questions that anyone has, any burning issues around productivity that we haven't touched on? Oh, I have a hand up. Yes.
Thing going.
Yep.
Sorry. So, but there were a couple of stragglers, and they brought out the not very good manager in me because I was very young. Is there a positive way to get those on board without just ignoring them because you're mad at them?
In terms of, how were they affecting productivity?
There was no productivity. They weren't doing their jobs. They were on the phone, they were smoking cigarettes. It was terrible.
I mean, that one's a really tricky one. I mean, that really is a bit of I guess, some coaching, finding out whether it is a lack of skill or whether it's a lack of intention. And maybe managing them out of the business, I would say.
Thank you.
Yeah, it gets to that place. There can be businesses where it's just so unproductive to have people in your organisation. Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you.
No worries. Awesome. Okay, I am out of time. I'm sorry, one more question?
When you're not multitasking, but managing different roles.
Yes.
In clinic, you've got another job totally unrelated, and then you're a mum, and then you're trying to maybe look after yourself somewhere in that.
Yeah.
Do you suggest applying these strategies separately and compartmentalising your life, or is it just an action list and a project list across all of these different faces of your life?
Great question. So at the moment, I'm running my own business, which is Seed Strategy and Innovation. I'm a productivity ninja, so I'm doing workshops probably 2 days a week. I'm also back at McCain 2 days a week doing a contract role. I'm managing 4 inboxes, and I'm a mum with 2 kids. And I'm scuba diving all the time. So I get it, yeah. What I do is I have a weekly planner from Kiki K, which I can show you later. I forgot to bring it down with me in my bag. But that has what's called big rocks. So I actually have a big rock for each of those areas. And each week I prioritise what are the things I have to do for that role. So at a glance, all of those roles, I know what I have to do in the week. Yeah, and there might be odd other little things like I need to book a doctor's appointment, or I need to go to the dentist, or I need to get the car fixed, and they'll go on a list as well. Yeah, but having that one cheat sheet that gives me everything at a glance, I find works really well. Yeah, so you can do it, and it's applying the same principles, but it's just creating buckets for each thing. Yeah, and you can see all of those. So I'll share that with you later if you like. Yeah, cool, awesome. Thank you, guys. If you have your phones, please feel free to jump on to that URL right now and fill in. It's just a 2-minute survey if you have time before we go to break. I'd love your feedback. The co-creation part of what I wanted to mention to you was I was going to run a free webinar for everybody next Friday just for half an hour, I was going to do an express version of some productivity tips. But what I was thinking about in all of our excitement from yesterday, I got loads of business ideas that came out for me, is that what we also recommend is not just that daily checklist that you do, but at the end of every week, we would do a weekly review. And that weekly review should be about 1 to 2 hours where you sit down and do your boss thinking in a very structured way. So there's a whole heap of questions that you can go through. And it's about getting all your inputs back to zero. So not just your inbox, but things like, if you've been traveling and you've got receipts in your wallet, your desk is a mess, you get all of that stuff sorted out. You spend a good concentrated piece of time doing your boss thinking, getting everything back to being organised, and then you plan for your week ahead. Now, my question to you guys, which you can just note down on that survey, is if you would like to do that, is that something that you feel would be useful? Because I'm thinking I could create a weekly process for you guys where we all catch up just in a webinar kind of version, or it's like an audio that you could listen to that would talk you through that weekly review and help you to get ready for your next week ahead. How does that sound? Would that be something of interest? Yeah? Awesome. So if you'd like to know more about that, please drop your email in that link. Also, if you want to join the Academy, just pop your email in there. And just so I know what it is you're interested in, please just write a note as to which bits you really want. Yeah, it's just a free field in there. But I would just love your feedback, guys, so that I know what it is you'd like. Because I think there's just so many ideas that have come out of the last couple of days that I can work with you guys on. Awesome. Love to keep in touch too. So we are on Facebook and Instagram. If you look for Think Productive Australia, we post lots of little ideas and tips and techniques around productivity. I would love to keep in touch with you guys, and I'm sure I will with Murray and Tammy's help. If there's anything else that you would like, or you would like to chat to me further, I'm going to be around obviously till the end of the day. But in the back of your little book is my business card. So if you have questions, if you want to chat about productivity, I would love to chat with you. It's a bit of a passion, as I mentioned. All right, I think that's it. That's me done, guys. Thank you so much.